Hi, folks. Welcome back. From Just the News, Politico publishes purported leaked draft suggesting Supreme Court vote to strike down Roe v. Wade. If the report is true, it's the first ever major leak from the Supreme Court. Why don't you think about that for a minute? The first ever major leak from the Supreme Court. The battle lines are forming. They have been for a long time. But this is, it's sacrosanct. They even had some incredible lefties on the court over time and still have them on there now. Judge Ginsburg, rest her soul. They never leaked anything. Neither did any of their interns or any of their staff or whatever they call them that work for their, each individual Supreme Court justice. It's absolutely sacrosanct that these suggested drafts stay with the court until they're released to the public with their decision. Why? Because it might sway votes. So you have to write the decision. How do you write a decision in favor of something, and how do you write a decision against it the same day that you release it? Would you have to write the day before or that morning? It's ridiculous. I have my suspicions on what Supreme Court Justice office it leaked from, but I'm going to keep that to myself because I have no evidence. This is huge. And I also want to say something concerning Roe v. Wade. I'll be 66 this November. Roe v. Wade was made a federal right for abortion, I believe it was 1972. I was in 10th grade. So, I was a sophomore in high school. So the fact of the matter was that was a long time ago, but not really. A whole lifetime, but in the course of history, not that long at all. What is that, 20, 48, 49 years? And one thing I want to make clear before I get into this story is, if Roe v. Wade is struck down as unconstitutional, which it is, this has nothing to do with whether abortion is legal or not. And that's the con that the lefties and the progressives give you, the so-called third wave feminists, which are doing everything in their power to erase women, but that's another story for another time. This does not make abortion unlawful. It brings the decision for abortion down to the states. Now, the funny part is, if you drew a comparison from slavery in the 1800s till it really started to flourish, it was dying off and then it flourished again because of cotton gin and other things. The arguments to keep slavery and the arguments from the Supreme Court and other courts concerning slavery are the exact same as abortion. The same argument, the same states' rights issue. I find that fascinating. And years from now, of course, most of the people that believe that abortion can be unrestricted, they're going to be looked down on 50 years from now as monsters. But they really don't care because most of them will be dead or will be old. And that's the thing, just like the slaveholders are looked down on now. Are the leftists going to say, well, you have to put yourself into the times? No. Let's read on. A draft of the majority opinion from Justice Samuel Alito leaked to Politico suggests Supreme Court voted to strike down Roe v. Wade, the landmark abortion rights decision. The reported 98-page opinion of at least 5 justices offers a sharp rebuke of Roe and Casey versus Planned Parenthood, both which protect abortion rights. They're not striking down abortion. They're just saying it's a states' rights issue. I forget which amendment it is, and I should know it. That the amendment that says, unless specifically spelled out, is under the purview of the federal government, the right shall remain to the states. And that's really the issue here. It's not if abortion is moral, legal, illegal, sometimes legal, sometimes not, killing of unborn babies, pro-choice, pro-this. It's just not any of that. This is about, there's nothing in Constitution. Hold it up to the light, put lemon juice on it, shake it around. There's nothing that even comes close to saying an individual has a right to abortion under the Constitution. It's the purview of the states. And that has always been the issue. Should we have a federal Supreme Court ruling on driver's licenses? Well, John, driver's licenses are life and death. No, but the legal argument's the same. Should we have a federal moratorium, which we did for a long time? You had to be 21 years to vote. And the feds put their nose in and said, hey, we're going to make ours 18. If you don't make yours 18 in any state that you're in, we're going to take away highway funds from you. They extorted it, extortion. So they made it 18. But that was up to the purview of the states, just like voting rights are. You take the emotion out of the fact that it's a fetus or a human being or whatever you want to call it. We're talking about the rights of individual states. That's why it was such a huge mistake. I believe it was the 16th Amendment that made popular vote for U.S. senators. What a huge, huge, huge error. I believe that was under the Wilson administration, if I'm not mistaken, but my memory might be off. Before that, the states appointed their U.S. senators. The Senate represented the states. The House of Representatives represented the everyday citizen. That was the way it was written up, and it should have stayed that way. Our country would have been a lot better off. But I digress. And not digress at the same time. This is about states' rights. Unless it's spelled out in the federal Constitution, it falls to the states. We hold that Roe and Casey must be overruled. The Constitution makes no reference to abortion. No such right is implicitly protected by any constitutional provision, including the one on which the defenders Roe and Casey now chiefly rely. The Due Process Clause of the Fourth Amendment. The justices reportedly wrote an opinion for the Mississippi abortion case, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health. Liberal justices Breyer, Sotomayor, and Aleta Kagan are reportedly working on dissents, and that's the way it works. The one side, that's the dissenting side, puts out their opinion, and the majority side puts out their opinion. Abortion presents a profound moral question. The Constitution does not prohibit the citizens of each state from regulating or prohibiting abortion. Roe and Casey regulated that authority. We now overrule those decisions and return that authority to the people and their elected representatives. We now overrule those decisions and return that authority to the people and their representatives. And that is the entire, they didn't need 98 pages. This one sentence should have been enough. It's plainly written in English. It's not legalese. That is the point of this. If the report is true, it's the first ever major leak from the Supreme Court. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal because it borders on trying to persuade through coercion judges. If something as decisive and divisive as abortion is leaked out from a major decision in the Supreme Court that hasn't been done in almost a half a century, that because for political purposes, to put pressure on Supreme Court justices to change their vote before they actually rule in June. The draft is almost certainly authentic. SCOTUS, a blog, observed, adding that the draft does not reflect the comments or reactions of other justices. The outlet called the leak a gravest, most unforgivable sin that will destroy trust among the justices and staff. I agree. You never hear about, we'll say, Justice Alito or Justice Thomas ever badmouth Justice Ginsburg, rest her soul, when she was on there. Once you're on that court, you become one of them for life. And you have the same respect from everybody else, whether what side of the political aisle you fall on or how you feel about government in general. And that now has been destroyed. One of the last pillars of civility and justice on the Supreme Court has now fallen. When is the next leak going to be? During their discussions, nearly half of all U.S. states would be able to immediately prohibit abortion if Roe was overturned. I think that's a little high, but we'll say that's accurate. So the Supreme Court is bracing for protests as barricades have been placed around the Capitol building in D.C. Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz, who I have a lot of respect for as a lefty, who actually was one of the lawyers in the impeachment trial, was Donald Trump's lawyer, who said to misuse the Constitution when they impeached Donald Trump both times. Alan Dershowitz and Missouri Republican Josh Hawley speculated on Fox News on Hannity on Monday night that the draft was leaked in an attempt to sway the final court opinion. That is court tampering. On the left, Bernie Sanders urged Congress to make Roe v. Wade into law and abolish the filibuster if necessary to do so. You don't have the right to make it a federal law. You do not have the right. That's the entire point of the decision. It eroded confidence in one of our oldest institutions, the Supreme Court. Now, I haven't always and very seldom agreed with the Supreme Court's ruling, especially from the so-called left judges, but I do respect them. Even Sotomayor, who said some incredibly dumb things concerning the mandates about children being VAXed and everything else. I thought they were incredibly ridiculous and just uninformed, period. But I never went after her personally. She just didn't do her homework, or her staff didn't, or both. The fact of the matter is, once you're on that court, or you're on there for life for a reason, you can't be swayed by public opinion anymore. Unlike John Roberts, he is a Chief Justice. I have to show respect for the office, but he's been swayed by public opinion for a very long time. Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act, should never have been constitutional, ever. But he bowed. He bent. Just to make his life probably easier and his family's life easier, because the progressives and the leftists will hound you every single minute of your life. And that, folks, is court tampering, jury tampering, if you will. Is this going to start huge riots? I don't know. But if those justices that voted a certain way on this issue change their vote, that is the beginning of the end of the Supreme Court. The check and the balance that was put in many years ago. It's sad. And maybe that's part of their tactic, is to tear down our institutions. Tear them down. Supreme Court is the last judicial stop in our system. It is the highest court in the land. Supreme Court Justice swears in the president. It was put there for a reason. It was made a life appointment for a reason. In the process to get a justice is appointment by the president, confirmation by the Senate. Not the House, but the Senate. Because the Senate at the time represented the states. And they still should, even though now they've veered way off from that. But I digress again. Will this cause rioting? Is this going to be a huge deal? Will the pro-choice / pro-abortion people be up in arms? Will they be rioting in the city? It's starting to warm up. Winter's over. It's beginning of May. We're going to have to see. But I pray that these justices, no matter what side of the issue they fell on, do not change their vote. You are put there for life for a reason. I know it's going to be incredibly uncomfortable for some justices and their families because they do live in D.C. Kavanaugh has small children. So does Coney Barrett. They have children. They have family in this city. Well, they're going to have to walk around with Secret Service bodyguards for the next 30 years? That's crazy. But that's what might happen. We have to be on guard. We have to be on guard. And I think those riots, if there is any, God, hopefully there won't be, but if there is, will just deepen the divide between the progressives and the rest of the country. We're going to have to see. But this leak is so horrendous. It is so despicable, and it is so disgusting, I can't even tell you. Unbelievable. I had a feeling the court was going to rule this way. Supposedly Justice Roberts is the only one that hasn't made up his mind yet, at least from what the leak said. I hope it's 6-3 rather than 5-4, frankly. But time will tell. Next month is June when it will come out. And then we'll see. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.